the Relentless CEO Podcast. Relentless! With Adam Kifer. Follow your path to success alongside icons and industry leaders in martial arts, fitness, and more. Let's go. This is the Relentless CEO Podcast.
So Matthew, good to have you on. Thankful that I got to be on your podcast. Man, I remember the summit a couple years ago. We did like a little interview afterwards as well. I think it was like the first time we got to sit down and talk, but great to have you on here, man.
Yeah, I'm excited. We did it in a little quiet, random. I remember we were walking down a hallway just looking for random rooms where the door was unlocked. And we found a room, opened it. The lighting was horrific. You could barely hear the audio, but I was like, we're doing it, Rick. All right.
Yeah, it worked. It worked out. So you've been super busy. I know you've been established in the industry for a while, doing your own coaching. You got the newsletter that you launched as well. For anyone that hasn't heard about you, can you just give a little quick bio for everyone listening?
Yeah, my pleasure. So my name is Matthew. I've been doing martial arts since I was a little kid. I grew up within my brother's martial arts organization, Action Karate, in the Philadelphia area. So I was kind of mentored by my brother. Not kind of, I was, since I was a little kid and young teen. When I came on board, we already had about 12 locations. I helped with a lot of the marketing and the training, and to me and the rest of the team and his staff, we grew the schools we have 34 schools now. We do about $17 million a year in revenue across our schools.
That's amazing. Good for you guys.
Yeah, thank you. I don't own the franchise. That's him.
Sure.
But obviously always a team effort, but he taught me so many things along the way. So now I've kind of a transition. I still own a couple schools myself, but now for the most part, I help other martial arts schools grow their school organically. So how to set up programs with local, I call it strategic partnerships with local schools, daycares, and businesses. So instead of waiting for leads to come in, through Facebook ads or Google or their website, I show them how to actually put boots on the ground, get in front of people, create partnerships, and actually convert them into new students. Because too many school owners, like, they do PE teacher for a day, or they do a school talk, and then like they leave. Maybe they get one person to call or a couple of people to enroll afterwards if they're lucky, but they don't know how to systematically do it, where it's like, okay, I'm going to have a wave of people each time. So that's kind of like my niche within the small niche of martial arts. That's that little part I carved out, because I noticed not many people are doing that. And that's what I'm really good at and I love. So yeah, if you want to grow your school organically, I have a newsletter. You mentioned the 3-minute black belt business newsletter, which I started because my friends are like, why do you have a way bigger following and engagement on Facebook than Instagram? Why does your Instagram suck? Basically is what they're saying. I'm like, well, because I'm not great at pictures of videos, but I'm good at writing and I enjoy writing. And they're like, why don't you just do a newsletter? I'm like, you're right. So if you don't subscribe, send me a message, newsletter, and I'll get you in there. It's free. I got like 600 something subscribers in the first 5 weeks.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I'm super pumped about it. And I really enjoy it. Like when I wake up, I'm like, all right, I'm going to write today. It's like, when I'm going to make a video, I'm like, oh God, like I'm going to set this camera. It's going to be a thing. It's going to suck. Writing, I'm like, I can actually enjoy. I can be creative. So yeah.
I agree. I think you and I have the only 2 newsletters in the industry right now.
Yeah, I think yours came out like right afterwards. I'm like, this bastard, and it looks better.
I know.
It's like nicer formatted.
I think I'm biting this shit.
No. And like, it's funny because I think you use a service called Hive or Hive. Someone sent me that too. They're like, you should use this. Yeah. And I think a lot of people are using it now in the industry. It's like a really good tool. If you're a martial arts school owner and you want a newsletter about martial arts for your students, like there's no reason you shouldn't have one.
You said you use Beehive also, or no?
No, I literally just, my whole thing is because then I have to add another tool and I just don't want to do that after I already started. So mine is literally just email, basically text, very few images. It's called a 3-minute black belt business newsletter because I want it to be like, you can read it, understand a strategy, go. And so like no fluff, just like strategy. So yours is like entertaining too. It's like, it's got like memes in there and it's got like different interviews of people and it looks really nice. Mine's like raw.
That's right. I think that you put really good content out though, because I even see like some of your posts where you're previewing like what's going out of the newsletter, and it's really easy to follow, I think, which is awesome. But I just like the angle that you approach things from, because you don't approach it the same as most of the other people in the industry. There's just I think there's higher intent behind the things that you're posting, which I think is like what our industry needs. We need young people. I'll say, how old are you? Okay, all right. That's what, as I say, young people like you. I can't consider myself young anymore, but young people like you, like leading the way and just thinking about this business differently, I think is so important. And I love what you're doing on the organic side as well, because I think leading up to COVID, schools were pretty decent at organic for the most part, and like COVID hit like a giant reset button, and it was almost like everyone forgot how to get into schools or how to have those relationships. So it's cool to see that you're doing that. I would say a lot of school owners that I talk to, I think one of the things I hear when I bring up schools, they're like, well, the schools in our area don't work with like martial arts schools, or there's already there's another martial arts school that's always working with that school, which I think there's plenty of ways around that. But what advice would you give those people that are sort of feeling like they're in that situation when it comes to working with schools?
Yeah, well, you're absolutely right. People have gotten lazy. That's the first thing. With social media, they just figured they're going to send out an email or do a post and hopefully people show up. When I started my school originally, and I'm sure when you started, like, you couldn't just rely on social media. Like, that was like, I don't know, for me, when I started out at 2013, when I opened up my first school, like I used Facebook, but I don't know if we even had ads at all. And it was all organic stuff. That was like mainly. And so I feel like people kind of forgot about it. So that's the first thing. And they got lazy, but also it's not really their fault, because it's gotten a lot harder because of two reasons: COVID and school shootings. Honestly, that's made it really a lot harder because there's upgraded security in all the schools. Like, schools have upgraded their vestibules now. They have before you can even enter. So now they say at the front desk person's like the keeper. Now there's like a gate before the gatekeeper before you can even go in, right? So there's like all these layers you kind of have to get through. So it has gotten more difficult. What people don't realize is, like, when it's hard to get in somewhere or get through the front door, there's other ways to do it, right? And what I give when I do, I know I'm doing a session with your mastermind people, is like, all right, I'm gonna give them the script. Like, okay, here's what you actually say when you go up to the person at the front. If they say this, you say that. They say this, you say that. Okay. And if that doesn't work, because we're dealing with humans, there's not an algorithm, then okay, we'll try a different method. Maybe we'll start with the PTO or the PTA, or we'll start with the after school program. Or guess what? Maybe we don't do that school. Okay, sucks, didn't work. Let's go to the next one. How many schools are in your area that teach kids? All you got to do, let's say, and like one of the first things I do when I take on new clients is I have them create a hit list of all the schools in the area. And we systematically go through each one, and we'll talk about each one every single week. What happened with this? What happened with this? What happened with that? We'll kind of walk our way through it. And if they can't get in one, it doesn't matter. If you have 15 schools in your area, or even 10, as long as you get into one, that's all I care about. Okay, because once you get into one, then you could leverage your way into the other ones. Hey, we were just at James Brown School, and I realized we didn't get to you guys this year, and I felt bad about it. So I'm stopping it because I'm going to tell you guys what we did for them. I was talking to Nancy, and they'll know Nancy because she's the principal or the guidance counselor, and you'll be like on a first name basis. And and she said that I should talk to you. And then now you get past that. That's how you get past those gates, right? It's like leverage and compounding, right? And I require my clients to keep like extremely detailed notes. Like, I want to know what the person's name is, the front desk, what they said, the principal's name, the guidance counselor's name. And I'm trying to get AI to get all this information for them before they even start. I'm having some trouble. I think I'm going to have it figured out within like 2 or 3 weeks. I'm hoping, because I want to like make things easier for people. Right. But yeah, there's a lot of ways to get in, but just know if there's already a school doing programs, okay, great. I'm not going to step on that school's toes. Just like I'm not going to hand out flyers of a martial arts school in a parking lot where there's another martial arts school, right? Like I just wouldn't do that, right? It's just like distasteful. So if there's a school, they already have a thing, great. But I guarantee there's other schools that don't, and that worry about those. So I think the first one's always the toughest.
Yeah. Awesome. I think that's great advice for people to follow. I think too, it's It's like, I think some people just aren't willing just to sit down and start looking up contacts, going through the list, or they just want to fire off an email and have that be the solution. And then they don't get a response and they give up on it. I love that you're getting school owners to actually get on their feet again and go in and make relationships and shake hands and start that route. I'm curious, because you've been doing this for a while. What do you feel like right now in our industry? Well, I will make this 2-part question. Right now in our industry, what do you think is the future? Like, what do you think? Where do you think the industry is going? Start with that, and then I'll go to part 2 after that.
In what way? In terms of marketing, trends of what styles, or?
Yeah, I think just whatever you want to touch on, because I know, like me, I always think in terms of marketing and experience when I'm thinking about it, but that may not be like where you're thinking. So I'm just interested in hearing what you think is in store for the future of the martial arts industry.
Yeah, I think for martial arts, I interviewed Mike Dillard, the CEO of Century. Yeah. So I was asking him like what he sees in the sales of products. Because listen, I might have an idea of what's getting more popular, but he's going to know what people are actually buying. Right.
Sure.
So listen to that episode if you haven't, on the Black Belt Business Podcast. You can listen to the whole thing, because I'm sure I'm going to butcher it. But basically what he said is jiu-jitsu popularity has exploded. And you just see that everywhere. Like, that's kind of obvious. He said traditional martial arts like karate, pretty stable. He said, surprisingly. And I was surprised by that. I thought it was going down. That's really what I thought. He said, nope, been pretty stable. Same amount of uniform, same amount of gear. Hasn't really changed that much, very little. He said the thing that's really been struggling is defensive based martial arts like Krav Maga, which to me was shocking. I was like, what? I'm like, the more practical martial art is like, so I'm curious, like, why are they selling less uniforms? Is it because fewer people who are good at marketing get involved in these types of martial arts?
Or most Krav schools don't use uniforms though, right?
Yeah, but whatever the sales data is, I don't know what he's selling to them, but it was like, he was comparing the sales data of like whatever he sold to Krav people to whatever he sold to karate people or jiu-jitsu people, and seeing if they were going up and down.
Got it.
Whatever Krav people buy.
Yeah, I wonder if part of that is most of the Krav school owners I know don't use Century. And a lot of them use just like local places for t-shirts and shorts or whatever. And then the guy that does our manufacturing does manufacturing for some Krav schools as well. So I'm just wondering if maybe that's not the supplier they're being pushed towards, maybe for Krav schools or Krav associations, whatever that is.
Yeah, that could totally be part. Maybe they're just losing the Krav market. Maybe they're not marketing to Krav as much. That could totally be true. Yeah, I don't really know. I guess other like market trends I see that are important, I would say, obviously I'm the organic guy, so I'm more skewed on this. But as people depend more on chatbots and AI to do things for them, the more people are going to recognize when someone's not being genuine, whether it's in their marketing or it's, or the words they give. Like, I use ChatGPT every day in my life. Okay. I spend many hours. I got the premium version. I freaking love it. All right. I think it's great. Yesterday, I spent 9 hours trying to train this freaking chatbot for me to help school owners get information about schools faster. And I got nowhere out of it. I learned some things, but I thought I was going to complete the project in one day, but I couldn't. So it's amazing. You should use it. But like when someone just goes to ChatGPT and says, write this, and it just writes like a generic article and a post. It's all
always starts with unleash.
Yeah. That's a guy. I never heard that one before. Yep. That's good. Yeah. It's just, you can see right through it. And then that person kind of loses credibility. Right. Agreed. So what you need to do is train. You should use ChatGPT, but give it guidance of what you want it to sound like. All right. So how I did it for me, I love writing. I have a bunch of posts I've done over the years in like a folder, and I just copied and pasted. Yeah. And just uploaded a ton of them into ChatGPT and said, hey, here's my style, like me. And now it sounds like me, where I'm like scared. Like if you came to me and used my GPT to write an article and sent it to me, like, yeah, I wrote that. Right. Like you don't even use jokes that I would use sometimes. Like, holy crap, this is wild. So in a time where a lot of people are going to use it to be lazy, use it to your advantage to get more work done and be more personalized. Like, how many schools do you talk to martial arts school owners that don't call people and they don't show up anymore? Oh yeah, they get an automated text. They get an email. It's like,
That
yeah,
drives
that's
me
good.
freaking crazy.
Yeah, like it's good, but like, dude, why don't you just get on the phone and call them? Like, people appreciate that personal touch. Like, I didn't go to my jiu-jitsu school. But I didn't show up for probably like 3 months. Okay. No one called me. No one texted me. No one said a word. So when I had to quit, was it a big deal for me emotionally? No. I'm like, I'm going to this other one. And it wasn't like necessary. I moved, but like it wasn't, I still could have went to that other one. It would have been just a way more pain in the ass for me. But if I felt super connected, I would have. But I didn't, because I didn't feel connected with those people, or I just basically didn't feel like they gave a shit. Right? People want to know that you give a shit. So in the day of automations, which are super important, you should use all of them. Keep things personal too. These people need that personal touch. I think that's like how you're going to separate yourself from the competition.
Yeah, I think I love AI. I use ChatGPT a lot. I don't know if you've felt this way, but one of the things I noticed is I started relying on ChatGPT so much for stuff because we trained it so well that I started to feel like I was losing creativity in writing. So now I'm almost all the way the other way with writing, where I'm just like going back to doing it in my backyard on like writing on an iPad and then converting it to text later. But I still use, like, for quick things and for like emails for the school and stuff like that, we still use ChatGPT to generate any and all of that stuff for the most part. Just like, and for that part too, I like it for a business because it keeps the brand voice consistent throughout. Whereas like before ChatGPT, you'd have your admin or your manager write an email, then you'd write an email. They'd all sound slightly different.
Yeah. One of your teenagers, hey, write this email real quick, like send it out to the parents.
And it says like Sigma in it and all these words that the kids are using nowadays that I don't know the meaning of. No, but I think it's great. I think I would love to talk to you about this since you're using it a lot. What are some of the main things that you are just using AI in general for? Obviously, for like doing some writing things, creating this chatbot. Anything else that you're like, I'm using it to develop such and such?
Yeah, I'll tell you some things that are non-martial arts related that are just, cool. I think, kind of interesting. And then I want to hear what you're using it for.
Yeah.
So the first thing is like, I want to buy a new car. I'm like, okay, do I buy a section 179 eligible car, which means a car, I'm a business owner. So that means if I get a car that's over 6,000 pounds, I can get a huge tax reduction first year when you purchase a car, right? So if you don't know that and you own a business, it's better to get a car that's like a bigger car if you just Google search
or electric, because electric's way more as well.
Okay, cool. But but then people are going to look down on you because you have an electric car. So
it's okay. I'll take it.
So yeah, I was like, okay, do I get this bigger car, even though it costs another $12,000 more, and do a cost analysis for me? Here's the gas mileage for each one. Here's how much it costs for each one. How much will it cost me per year to have each car? Which one's better? And I thought for sure it was going to say the cheaper one. And I was like, no, get the more expensive one, because you're going to save based on your tax bracket. And it asked me what my tax bracket is. You're going to save this amount of money. And then the gas mileage difference is only going to be $680 a year. So it'd be better to have this one based on the amount of miles you drive. Maybe if I would have drove a ton of miles, it would be different, but like, just give me like a better, when you're sitting there trying to think like, this makes sense to buy this thing, or should I get this thing? Put it in the ChatGPT and ask. I love using it for math questions. Like because I'm not great at math, I'm really like a writing guy. So when someone asks, like, let's say I'm going over with one of my schools, like we do with our instructors, we do revenue share. So 30% of the school's gross revenue goes to payroll. Okay. Typically that's split between a head instructor and program director. But if they have extra instructors, that comes out of that same pot, right? So let's say it's $10,000 for payroll, but they hire an instructor for $2,000 a month. So that would go to that other instructor, and then they would split the $8,000, so it'd be $4,000 each. That's really low, but like just for easy numbers for people that are listening. So like, okay, I'll go over with them models of like, okay, if we make this amount of money, if we make $40,000 a month, how much I'm going to make a personal income? If I make $50,000, how many? And I'll just put that, let them actually see it, right? Like, okay, cool. And then all right, now if you buy into the business at this number, and then our average profit margin is 30%, how much money will I make then if we're at 30,000 or 40,000 or 50,000? And obviously ChatGPT will knock it all out in a second, which before would take me forever. And I'd be like, oh my God, I hope I did that right. And then they're like, wow, oh my God, I can make $240,000 if we get to 70K a month. Like, yeah, you can. Like, how much different would your life be? I'm like, this is not me guessing. This is, you see the math, right? So I love it for those sort of things. I also I've been using it more recently to suss out. That's funny. I can't believe I just used that word. I think I've never used that publicly, but now I've used it to figure out real estate deals. So I put in there's like a real estate GPT. So I had it. I put in there, like, it asked me a million questions about my portfolio and about what I'm comfortable with. And I put in all the information. And now, I tell them I tell the GPT my comfort level and risk tolerance, like what I'm used to. And basically, what if I put in a real estate deal, like my real estate agent sends me, or someone says, hey, look, I saw this listing, and I just see a listing. I'll just put it in there and say, tell me, analyze this list for me based on my philosophy. And it'll tell me, like, it's going to get this cap rate, this much cash on cash, and blah, 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 blah. All this information I'd be worried if I'm doing correctly before, and now it just tells it to me. And, it'll tell me based on a 7% mortgage, if you refinance plus your taxes, you'll be cash flowing this amount of money based on rent in the area. And it's amazing. And then the next level I could take it is I can say, okay, cool. Send a letter to the real estate agent. A logical reason why the value of the property should be this amount of money and not this amount of money, and send them comps. Like, literally create a letter with comps of, like, here's why it should be this amount. I haven't actually purchased a property through that yet. I've only cut ones out. Okay. I'm like, oh, I thought it was going to be good. And then I did the analysis. I'm like, oh, I guess it's not very good. So
meanwhile, the owner of ChatGPT is buying that house.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Like, damn, what a good deal. He missed it. I want that one.
Yeah. So that's how I've been using it. I mean, obviously I use it for writing for the newsletter. I usually write it first. And then I put it in ChatGPT and I clean it up, and I'll just clean up some grammatical errors and make it, I can get wordy sometimes.
Yeah, I use it for that as well.
Yeah.
My grammar sucks.
Yeah. I definitely need someone to look at it. I'm trying to think what else I use it for. Those are like the main things. I'd like to use it for more automation in the future with marketing. What I want to be able to do, what I was working on recently, and hopefully I'll have this out soon, maybe by the time this comes out, and I could do it manually now. So if you ask me about it, if you send me a message, I'll just do it for you manually. But basically, if you give me, like, your name, your name, email, phone number, your school's address, like full address, like, city, state, zip code, full address, how much you charge for tuition, and how many students you have, I'm having ChatGPT create a custom growth plan based on my strategy that I use for my clients. That'll show. Yeah, it'll show, like, okay, if you convert this amount of people based on the amount of people in your area, you'll make this amount of money. If you convert this amount, you'll make this amount of money. This is moderate. This is, aggressive, right? And so that way they get, like, a real understanding of, like, what this actually looks like. And then along with it, it'll be an actual strategy. Here's a strategy that I would do. Obviously, it has, like, kind of like the what strategy, like, here's what to do, not necessarily how to do it. And then if they want to know how to do it, come to me and I'll show you how to do it. Right. So at least I'll get a lot of you up front. So that's, like, the thing now I'm trying to figure out, because it has to parse through a lot of school data, which isn't necessarily publicly online. And, like, I download these files from government websites that make my computer melt into lava because they're so large. And then, so yeah, that's a new thing I'm trying to.
Yeah, I love that, man. I always love hearing how people are using AI to just shortcut and make their lives easier.
How do you use it? Tell me. I want to hear from you.
The newest thing that I've been working on is for Move. So with Move, we have sort of like a different system as far as how they get their belts. They earn XP points like they would in a video game through doing, like, character development missions, learning and performing the combos and stuff. And then there's a little side quests and stuff that they can do. So I'm actually using it right now to build out software that tracks all of that. for our athletes. And then in the software, they can also do all of their missions, their character development missions. They can post it directly to Facebook, Instagram, wherever they want to post it. Because one of the things that we require them to do is to post online with like a certain hashtag, like a picture of them doing it or whatever. So in that facility, it's going to put it all in one spot. And it was crazy because the first night I was working on this, in 30 minutes, I created like a full dashboard, the ability to input all of their missions and all that stuff just using AI. And I was like, how is it this simple now to like create a piece of software? Because I know nothing.
How do you do that on a ChatGPT?
No, it's a different AI software that I don't remember the name of, but it's pretty much just for creating apps and software. So someone in one of the masterminds I belong to posted, they're like, you got to check this out. And they posted the wrong link. So I like went to that link and it was like a checkout page builder. And I'm like, this doesn't sound that cool. And then I ended up just searching the name of it and found the actual site. And I started messing around with it and bought like the highest level tier as soon as it gave me like the initial dashboard. The only thing it doesn't do is like it won't host images. So you just have to like host images on Imager or something and then give it the link and it'll populate
That's so
things.
Annoying.
But yeah, it's small. But the cool thing is like we even put on there, because now as we start building out, it's like this could actually be like a full CRM. Like it could be a full like all-in-one manager. So now we like I had our designer create this little like video game pixelated martial arts character, and the belt changes on that character as their belt changes in real life.
Beautiful.
And now we're like just trying to think how to take it to the next level. So it's pretty cool. Ron Sell, if you're listening, we're not trying to take over Spark. This will be internal for Move only. Like, don't worry about it.
Well, once it gets bigger, then maybe Spark can buy it, or you could buy Spark.
Yeah, and I doubt that Ron's worried about that in the first place. They're doing pretty good. But yeah, so that's one of the things I've been using it more of lately, just because like it's nice to be able to develop something and not need a developer. And the cool thing is like this software, it'll be like, hey, there's these 3 errors after you give it a prompt, and then you just go fix errors, and then it like debugs itself and fixes the errors on its own. I don't even know what the errors mean. It just does it. So that part's pretty cool. I also started using it, annoying my accountant a bit. I created a ChatGPT channel that is acting as a CPA and a CFO. And so what'll happen is every time I get a P&L, I obviously review it myself, and I just throw it in there and ask for an analysis based on it being the CFO of our company type of thing. And then when I meet with my accountant, I bring the notes from ChatGPT with me. And like, it's funny, like the last time I met, he's like, I'm gonna be out of a job if you keep this up. He's like, you're getting it like so accurate now. And it's just sort of cool it just gives you a different perspective on the numbers when you're looking at it. And then we have it do like forecasts and stuff like that. And it's way faster than the spreadsheets I was using before, which is nice. And then the other thing I've been using a lot for is just spreadsheets and integrating spreadsheets between each other. Because like even at Move, we have a daily stat tracker that our team uses in a spreadsheet form where the manager will go and update it. And then just like simple things like getting that to link to our annual spreadsheet. So anytime they upload something in that, it uploads the monthly and the annual and all of that. It's been really helpful for that, because I'm not a spreadsheet. I like spreadsheets, reading them, creating spreadsheets and doing all the formulas. It's not my superpower.
Yeah, I'm not programming Excels, and then there's going to be an error, and I won't know how to fix it, and then that'll be it. I'll close that window real fast. Yeah,
and then just started getting into like custom GPTs too, and starting to build those out. So we just built out one from the last summit where we uploaded all the presentations from the summit into a GPT. So that way, if you went to the summit and you're like, hey, so-and-so said something about this, what is it? Instead of having to go back and watch all the recordings, it'll just spit out the answer based on what was taught at the summit, which is pretty cool.
So you upload videos, you upload transcripts from
transcripts.
Yeah, so we upload the transcripts. We tested it out. We made an Atom GPT. So we like every single podcast I've done, every single video training and call I've done, we uploaded all the transcripts into one Chat GPT. And now like we had our team test, so we're like, hey, just ask it like you'd be asking me something. And it's the information is spot on. Maybe how the delivery of it isn't quite there yet, but it was pretty cool to just build that out and be like, oh, this would be cool for our mastermind clients if they can't get a hold of me right in the moment and they need to ask a question. At least it's giving them the right information based on how I would respond.
Yeah, I love that. I've been thinking about doing that for a while. Not for a while. I think maybe like a month ago. I was like, I need to do that because I want to do. Like right now, I do all my coaching for like 101, and it's all organic coaching, but it's all school do at least $10,000 a month in revenue because they're not at 10 grand a month yet. It'd be like impossible for them.
They need like immediate return on their first month if they're not.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's just hard for it's just hard financially. It's not necessarily the best investment for them. So I'm like, okay, what can I do to help? Because obviously I get a lot of leads that are, there's a lot of schools that are under 100 students a month. Yep. And they make like $6 grand a month. So I'm like, what can I do to help them? So I'm going to start a group coaching thing. And I was thinking like, okay, for group coaching for them, I could upload like all my coaching notes from everyone, which is probably like 700 pages. And give them access to a bot and like, okay, this will answer it, and like make it really cheap, like we're access and they'll grow and then they'll want to work with me later, which is cool,
Yeah.
So I just haven't gotten into that yet. So I might text you later with questions like, well, how did you do this? How did you do that? But the transcript of the podcast I'm thinking about, that's a good idea.
Yeah. Happy to help if you need help with that. It's pretty cool to build out. And also, I think it's like a time saver. We're building out the same thing for Move also, where it's just like we're uploading the general knowledge base of belts, requirements, what you need to do to be on the upgrade program, what you need to do to test for first degree black belt, second degree black, all of those things. So that way, when we're off hours, if a student has a question, they can just ask the bot the question, and it has like the full knowledge base of pretty much everything I know about Move, that it can now help them out when we're not available.
And that's a no-brainer. If you run a martial arts school, like go pay for the premium ChatGPT. I think it's like $20 a month or something. Yep. It's super cheap. You don't even need. There's like a paid one. There's like a premium paid one. I think you just use the regular one. At least for me, I think it's been fine. And then start putting all the information you have about your school in there, and give people access to the bot. All you do is like. Yep. It sounds like crazy techie when I say like train this bot, but it's really not hard. Like you could even ask, like it's just go into a chat box and say, what do I need to do to train you in order to do this? And it'll tell you what it needs to do. So basically just ask you questions, you'll answer it. And then you basically send a link, you copy and paste, send that link to or give students access to it somehow, right? Like maybe put it in your Facebook group or send it in an email or have it somewhere where it's accessible for them and easy to find. Yeah. And then bam, they ask questions like that. So if you're thinking this sounds crazy techie, they're so good. Well, I'm not, I'm a dummy. I've just used this
same
a bunch of times. You could do the same thing. Yeah.
No, yeah, I think that's the way to go. I would also put a disclaimer out there for everyone. Don't try and pass off like the bot as a human and like trick people to thinking it's human. I think you're way better off saying like, hey, this is a Move bot and I'm an AI assistant, like something like that. So, because otherwise, like we were talking about earlier, it just kills the authenticity of the relationship. And I think people feel like they just don't want to interact with you because you're presenting a false identity to them when you're communicating with them.
Yeah, I've seen someone post about this and I totally agree. It's like we're in like a trust recession on the internet. Where it's like anyone, trust recession. So it's like everywhere you look, someone's an expert about everything. And so it's hard to believe everything. That's not true. That's a scam. I don't trust that person, blah, blah, blah. So that's why it gets harder to get people to sign up for digital products or to buy things online or join your martial arts program because everyone makes these grandiose claims, right? Which is why that you need more touch points.
30 new students in 1 month.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 30 students in a month and don't do anything, right? So yeah, like when people say that and people guarantee everything in the world, you got to think, okay, what do I got to do to prove it to these people? Right. They got to see me, do things many, many times. They got to see me in a podcast, got to read my newsletter. They got to, see me hand out flyers at the local parade. They got to see there's right now, the holidays are coming up. So I don't know when this episode is going to come up, but it's late November now. And the holidays coming up means there's going to be holiday events in your area, right? Don't be lazy. Go on a Saturday, go set up a table, give out free stuff. And obviously there's strategies of like, okay, how can you collect leads and convert those leads into members? But at the very least, have a table out there, wear your martial arts uniform or wear like a professional outfit, right, with your martial arts logo with like a nice tablecloth cover, and be in the community. People are going to see you. That's
100%.
you got to build trust now in front of people.
One of the best things we did this year we did a farmer's market in Chandler, and they put us like in the worst spot ever. Like we were like behind another booth in the grass, not even by a sidewalk. And I got there and I was like, man, this would be a waste of like the $200 we paid or whatever. And I saw a coffee truck that was there. So I just went up and I was like, hey, here's $300. Everyone that comes over, like pay for their coffee, say Move Martial Arts bought it, and just point them to our table over there. And then I'm like, can I put a flyer up right here with the QR code on it? And they're like, yeah. For the next like 2 hours, every single person was going that got coffee came directly to us and was like, did you guys buy us coffee? Thank you so much. And it created all these organic conversations. And just going back to like building trust, it was like we're delivering value. They didn't even know that we existed. And then all of a sudden it just drove traffic to us. So now anytime we do a booth, I look for like a coffee truck or like ice cream truck or something. And we'll just go give them a couple $100 and be like, hey, pay for everyone. Just tell them we bought it. And it's such an easy way to drive an insane amount of traffic to your booth.
I love that. And like, how much does it cost for a cup of coffee per person? Like $3.
It was like $4. It was like $4 at that place. Yeah.
How much does it cost for on Facebook? Between 15 and $30.
$17, $20.
Yeah, exactly. So that's cheap. And that's a cheap lead. And they're seeing you. So they're seeing you face to face, not just seeing an ad. So that's way more value. I love stealing that. I love that.
Agreed. Yeah. Do it.
I'll tell you another thing you could do for table events that I've been like kind of preaching for a while, but I don't see enough people do it. Is everyone at every table event on earth has like a wheel spinner, right? Like every person. So why do you get that? You want to be exactly like everyone else. No, you got to be different than everyone else. So,
thank you for saying that.
So let me just fit in and do what everyone else is doing. And, the guy from H&R Block, I'll do what he does. So no, do something different. So like I did this a while ago because I got fed up of honestly carrying around that thing. It's like huge. Kids pull on it really hard. The spinning wheel thing, it almost falls on them. And someone's got to hold the back of it. And honestly, the slides in it look kind of shitty. And I was like, I wonder if there's like an easier way to do this. And I just looked on the App Store for digital wheel. And I literally found an app called Digital Wheel. So now I don't have to carry a thing. It's just on an iPad. It has all the same prizes. It can collect information on there. And I would be like, walk, and we'll just like crouch down to the kids with an iPad. You know what kids like more than a wheel? An iPad. Right? They're just like, they don't, it doesn't matter what it even has on it. It's just an iPad. But they're figuring, and guess what? They know what to do immediately. It's not like you have to coach them on how to like do the wheel thing. They look at it and they know how to use iPads because you use it all day, and they just start going like this, and then it spins and right? So you're hypnotizing these kids with an iPad. It's easier for you, collect information, same exact thing. So look at it's called like the wheel.
I know someone in the audience is thinking about this right now. What are some of the things that you put on there that they can win?
Simple stuff like 2 free weeks of training, 2 free lessons. We'll put on there, $100 gift certificate for a birthday party, like very simple stuff that probably people know about. It doesn't matter what the trial is. We're going to enroll them. Preferably at the first lesson, if not the second and third. But so if you give away a month, I don't care. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, I'm going to roll them sooner. You'll have some sort of incentive or discount. I'm sure you guys kind of probably do the same thing, right? Something similar. Yeah. Because most people, when they show up, they want to sign up. Like, how many times do you go to things without your intention to show up? Like, people now are way likely to actually show up to things because they can evaluate on the internet. Like you imagine 100%. Imagine you like go online, look for a restaurant, and you're like, all right, let's see what they have in their menu. We see what their reviews are. Imagine going, sitting down, like, yeah, you know what? I decided I don't want to eat here. You would never do that, right? Same thing with the martial arts school. If you're actually getting in the car and driving the kids, which is a giant pain in the ass, it's changing your schedule. They're coming to sign up. If anything, they don't sign up, it's probably because you talked them out of it.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And that sort of gets me to, I think something that I've heard a lot, like the last year from school owners is like we get leads, but they're bad leads. And I'm like, well, what's making it a bad lead? And they're like, well, they don't respond. And that goes back to what you and I were talking about earlier, where they're just relying on autoresponders. And they're like, well, it's a bad lead because that person didn't respond to the autoresponder. And I would love to see people pick up the phone and call more and find out it's not a bad lead when you actually pick up the phone and call. and they answer. But just like you're saying, there's some people that I know that are like, well, I'm not going to do free 2 weeks or a free week or a free class giveaway at a booth because it's going to be a bad lead. I was like, no, if you got their name, email address, and they're living and breathing in your area, it's a good lead. So I love that you guys are doing that. I wish more schools would think that route.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. We'll send like mass text. We send mass emails, right? But there's got to be some part of it that's like a personal touch. And the text message you send out, like in my opinion, should not sound like a robot. It shouldn't say like, reply yes if you want blah blah blah. It should sound like a human. Hey Jake, we met at blah blah blah. My name is this. You on 2 weeks. We have an opening on this date or this date. Where did you want to join? Question mark. And just end with a question. That way, it's like if there's things that are under the question, people are like, I'll deal with this later. The last part of it should be a question mark. The last thing they say, especially you get from your friends. Yeah. So make it personal. Don't, if you can include a picture, like I have like school owners who say, man, I'll do anything successful. But okay, cool. Go do your leads right now. Send each one a 5-second video or 10-second video of, hey, what's up? My name is blah, blah. I don't know if you're still interested in martial arts. Let me know. I know we met at this place. We'll see. Have you come in? I know you, blah, 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 whatever it is. Doesn't matter. It's like, will you sit there on your phone? You don't have to be in the martial arts school. It doesn't even have to be a video.
Yeah.
Like just do it anywhere. Like if you're willing to do that, if you're willing to do anything, like just go do that. I promise you have new people on the door next week because you put in the effort.
What I was going to say is I was talking to a school owner, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 months ago. And they're like, hey, you've had your school open 6 months and we've had ours open for like 10 years and we still don't have as many students as you. Like, how did you get so many students in 6 months? So I went through like every piece of marketing that we did, like both like guerrilla marketing, online, all that. And he's like, well, I don't want to do all of that. And I was like, well, then you don't want to get the results. Like, I'm like, it's cool if you want to be at 150, 60 students, wherever you've been trying to get to. But I'm like, if you're not willing to actually like do the work and do the things, like what actions do you think like are going to get you there? And then he's like, well, I've just been doing it this way for like 10 years. And I was like, but that's why you are where you are right now. And I was like, you can be so much further. Just like do 10% of what I told you and you'll still grow. And I think, when we were talking about just like lead follow-up and actually picking up the phone and calling the leads and doing those little things, I think a lot of that is getting overlooked. And I think maybe COVID made a lot of us like just lazier in general. And I'm not saying all school owners, but I think there's a lot of school owners that maybe got too comfortable from having everything online during COVID that they just haven't got back to it. And again, going back to what we were talking about at the beginning, I think that's why what you're doing right now with organic is like so important because everyone's just sort of, I think, out of touch with the groundwork that needs to be laid still.
Yeah, and I don't blame them for feeling that way or acting that way because when COVID happened, everyone's like, I don't want to teach online. I'm not doing that. I can't possibly do it. But then when they're desperate, 6 months later, a year later, everyone's online.
Yep.
Right. And then, okay, well, now everyone's online and now it's like, I go teach in person. Oh my God. Right. And you're happy to teach in person. And we lost a lot of students during COVID. I don't know anyone who didn't lose a lot of students.
Yeah, we did too.
We lost a ton of students. We lost like 40% across all of our locations, like, and within 2 weeks. Right. And by the way, we had Zoom classes within a week of the shutdowns, full Zoom classes, full schedule. I thought we were super, super fast. And my gym that I went to, like my Pure Fitness gym was like, where I lift weights was like, 7 months later, oh yeah, guys, we're gonna start giving you resources for videos you can watch. If you could please keep your membership. I'm like, dude, I've been like sweating it out every day of my life to make my business survive. And they're gonna give me some pre-recorded videos and tell me to please keep my membership. Hell no, right? I just felt like they weren't working hard enough. So anyway, like the reason I bring that up is because if you're willing to do the things that other people are not willing to do, then you'll get the results other people are not going to get. And too often I hear people say it's the same thing with like looking the part. It's like, okay, people will say, I'll do anything I'll do anything for my child, anything for him. Okay, cool. Like, will you eat healthier? Will you go to bed on time? Will you spend less time on your phone and more time focusing on your child? And it's like, they won't do those things, but let's say they'll do anything. And it's just honestly it's kind of like just like bullshit, right? It's like, no, you won't do anything because you're not doing these other things, right? If you did those things, you'd set a better example for your child. And the same thing, if you did those, you set an example for your students, and then your students would be better martial artists. They'd be better prepared for life. I had to move in like And you guys are so complex and deep with like all the character development, not just talking about focus and then saying it out loud, which is
Yep.
what a lot of schools do. And honestly, like we do that. We do that. I think some of the things you're saying to me, I'm like, oh, that's a great idea. We should do more of that. Like you're so complex in the life skills component and like how they actually how you can gamify it so they actually take advantage of it. I think that's wonderful. I've got to be think, okay, how do we compete with iPads? That's really it. How do we
Yeah.
compete with an iPad? I think how do we compete with an iPad? Then the iPad's gonna win. Right. And I'm sure whatever's gonna be next, there's gonna be some crazy VR goggle, and every kid's gonna have a VR goggle. They're gonna have to take it off and look at you. Right. So what are you gonna do?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see sort of how our industry adapts with just where technology is headed, and it's cool. I just was I don't know if you saw the new, like, I guess, technology heavy bag, the Bout. Have you seen that? So BOUT is how it's spelled. They debuted it at the Mike Tyson Jake Paul fight.
And it's pretty much.
I didn't stay up.
Yeah, you didn't miss anything. It's pretty much a white, like, heavy bag that's attached to something on the top and bottom that holds it in place. And then there's like LEDs on the top and bottom that light up. It measures frequency of hits, like power, and it gives you like this full report by the time that you're done with it. Looks probably way too expensive for what it is right now because it's so new. And I don't think you can even buy it online. You have to like schedule a call to like buy one. But they just built out like the first full gym of it, and it looks like the most like futuristic high-tech gym inside like ever. It looks like Ivan Drago like on crack in the year 2525.
Yeah, like you thought you were good with your spotlights in the class. You're like, God damn it, I'm primitive.
Yes. Luckily, we still got a few things up our sleeves for tech at Move, but yeah, I see things like that, and I'm like, man, I was like, you could tell someone for the fitness world or the boxing world designed that. I was like, because I don't see that same level of innovation in martial arts yet, which I would love to see. Like, we need like a martial arts Elon Musk to like come in and be like, all right, this would be the future. This is how we make it gamified and don't lose the quality or that type of stuff. But I think we're gonna need to start focusing on that more as these other industries are adapting. I know Kidstrong is working on gamifying their program right now as well. Their first attempt was terrible, but I know they're going to keep working at it.
What went wrong?
Just so they use that app at first to go through it, and even if you just search the app online and read the reviews, like on the Apple Store, like everyone's like, this app is so hard to use. It's like not accurate when my child attends, and like it's pretty much moms just like complaining over and over again through every single review about like the lack of usability of the app. So I'm wondering if they just didn't maybe test it with like a test group first to check it out, or what the issue was. But I think if those type of industries are still focused on the same audience as us, are getting way more advanced and integrated with that stuff, I think it's only a matter of time before martial arts needs to start taking bigger steps in that direction before that it feels like it's left behind. Because we met with a private equity firm they pretty much fund startups for franchises. And one of the things that they were super impressed with was just Kidstrong and how they've gamified character development. And it's funny. I got on that call, and they're like, "All right," they're like, "Tell us what you're doing." And I was like, "Martial arts." And as soon as I said martial arts, it was like everyone's face just like went blank and was like not interested almost immediately. And I think it's because their experiences maybe on a personal basis with martial arts schools or taking their kids to martial arts maybe hasn't been professional, hasn't been great, whatever. But then as I started explaining the concept of Move, they started to really get it, and they're like, "Oh, this is like next level of Kidstrong, but with martial arts." And I go, "Yeah, technically, yeah." And then they started to get more interested in it because of how we were not only doing the martial arts aspect, but how we're gamifying like the character development, like we talked about. And they were just like, "Oh, this is almost like a more improved version of Kidstrong." But I think the only reason they were interested in it is because we saw sort of how we were evolving it. And from talking to them on that call, like the main guy on that call was just like, he's like, my viewpoint of martial arts has not been good. And he's like, I took my kids to a martial arts school once, and he's like, I'm just like sitting in there and I'm watching the class, and he's like, I'm looking around, there's like holes in the wall from people's feet going through the wall. He's like, it looked like they never kept anything updated. It smelled terrible inside. And he's just telling me about his first experience. And I was like, well, no wonder. Like when I mentioned martial arts, everyone was just like, ugh, in that call. And he goes, like, if you would have said like Brazilian jiu-jitsu, he's like, I think the whole room would have been more excited. And I was like, well, we don't do Brazilian jiu-jitsu. So I was like, I'm not going to mention that. But it just goes back to, I think, the martial arts has sort of been in the same place for so long that I think for certain people, they just get this negative connotation of it because they went to one bad martial arts school. They have that view on the industry as a whole. So I'm hoping that people like you, people like me, we can change that viewpoint of it. I think your brother's doing a great job changing it as well. And I also think it's going to take some building up of some like monster multi-location franchises, corporations, whatever, that actually get the attention of outside industries where they're actually going to want to pour money in to help innovate the martial arts industry. But I'm not sure what your thoughts are on that, but I sort of think that's going to be needed in the somewhat near future.
Yeah, we got to build tour here. Have you seen the Cube? Have you seen that one?
Seen the what?
The Cube.
The Cube, no.
Yeah, I think that's what it's called. And it's like a bag. So I pulled up Bout when you said it, so I want to look at it when we're done here. But it's like a bag that measures their strength from kick, punches, or whatever. And I haven't actually used it. I bought literally like I would have convinced all of our schools to get it. Yeah, so this would have been probably $100,000 order or something, probably more. But I called the company and was like, hey, before I order this, I think it's like $2,000 to $4,000 or something. And they have like a white version. It's like a Target, but it's cool. Heck, it's what it looks like online. So I don't know if it really works the way it's supposed to. But it has like it has an app with it, and then you can put in there like front kick, side kick, reverse punch, whatever. And you can measure it and have a profile for a child. And I'll say like the speed and the power. And then you can update it next time they go. And I'll show you like in a graph if you've gotten stronger or faster, which is gorgeous. Like we would all want, I'm sure you would buy something out of me. Even if it was like $10,000, you probably will get one of those at our school. Right. But the problem was that way. I was like, tell me someone that has this. Here's where I live. And they're like, someone in New York. I'm in Philadelphia. It's like 3 hours away. And they're like, and it's an old model. And I'm like, okay, well, can you get me someone like a regular new one? Like, come on. And they didn't respond. And I'm like, okay, well, I guess you guys don't want to sell these. So maybe they don't work the way they're supposed to. But I think gear needs to happen. Like, I would love if there was a chip. And I think this will happen too. I mean, I talked about this with my girlfriend after I told my main location. I was like, okay, well, what can I focus on now? And I didn't do this, but maybe I will. I don't know. But it's just so out of my sphere of knowledge that I guess it terrifies me. It's like, okay, like there should be something in your glove, like a chip or in your feet. And it should say everything for your stats that day. How many punches you threw, how many kicks at the end of the week, how many punches and kicks did you throw? What was your power like? Like they have that for NFL players. They know what speed they're running at, how many steps they took. They know at a certain point, their hydration level, they're likely to get injured. So they'll take them off the field. Like, that is becoming more readily available. So I think it will happen. Yeah. I think the schools that do it first, where now the kids can see a chart of like, and they could share their chart with their friends of like all their, like points in the class. Then like those schools are going to take up basically market share. There'll be a couple of schools that, maybe don't hang around for a little bit, but that's got to come. And I'll say, I would love it. I want to train with that. I would love all that stuff. So, and if I'm like a true martial artist, I feel like, and then I think I'll also cut out some of the people who are just not maybe good at martial arts, don't train in martial arts, right? Which I'm not saying you have to like be training for fights all the time or something, like, but like you should be active, right? Active at the very least. So
yeah. Was it Jadi's like most martial arts school owners can't do the most basic self-defense, which is run? I was like, that's sort of true.
That's a good one.
That's sort of true.
Really good one. I love that.
There was a basketball franchise that actually has something similar to what you're just talking about with football, where when their athletes are done practicing, it gives them a printout of their shot chart, so they can see everywhere they took a shot. They can see their misses, they can see their makes, and then it like analyzes like the angle of their hand at the release of the ball and like all this crazy stuff. And they were showing me they have a bunch of NBA players behind it, but I was like, the same thing. I was like, man, if martial arts had something like this, that where like you do a sparring match, and it analyzes like what techniques you threw, which ones landed the most, what setup move happened before each technique that landed, and like you got a printout of that. That'd be like a game changer. Like I'm sure UFC would use that. I'm sure like we just need that innovation. So I think we need to be on a mission this next year. Let's find some funding and from some Silicon Valley people
and get them in here and start innovating. DM. What's that? Yeah.
I said I'll send Elon a DM. Yeah. I mean, we need that. And I think it'll make everyone's teaching better, because if you can see like what the actual issue is, how many we all struggle with training our staff, right? And our staff being up to a certain level that we want. And some people are better at it, some people are worse at it. But I think no matter where you are, you want your staff to be better. Oh, yeah. Right. And there's nothing more frustrating for a school owner than seeing someone you trained who's an instructor on the mat, whether it's a standard instructor, and someone's clearly doing something wrong and they don't fix them. Right. Because if you're thinking that, a parent is too. And they're sitting there folding their arms, and they might let it go a couple times, right? Like, you're not going to catch everything. Like, parents are understand that. But if they see it a couple times a week compounded, or maybe like once a week or once a month compounded by 6 months or a year, that's going to weigh on them. Yeah. Right. So imagine how much better it'd be if your staff had the tools they needed to be like, okay, well, this is what I saw. You wouldn't even have to have that highly trained staff. No. Right. Like,
you just have a report and you're like,
yeah, go over this report. Yeah, like, how do I fix that? Okay, I got to turn heel when I do my kick, and so my toes the back of the room. Blah blah. Like, okay, great. That would make everyone better. It'd make everyone better at martial arts, and would it take out? And of course, there's going to be traditionalists who they're going to be like, "Oh, that's not old school. No, I'll tell you how to do it. That doesn't know." Right, but those people are gonna go out. I mean, those people are already going out. Like, you walk into a place and it smells like feet, and there's holes in the wall. Like, they 40 to 60 students their whole lives, and that's fine. And by the way, like, nothing wrong with that. If they want to, make $40K a year, $50K a year, and like they're happy with that, and that's the lifestyle they want, nothing wrong with that. That's what they want, right? But those people are just not going to dominate. So.
No, I 100% agree with that. And I think it's funny, like, even with, we have like our belts are like not traditional belts, they're like video game skins, like pretty much on a belt. And I
haven't seen your
every
belts.
once in a while. Yeah, every once in a while we'll post something online of a kid wearing a belt, and they're like, "What kind of McDojo shit is this?" And I'm just like, it's like, I was waiting for that. But in my mind, I'm like, that's telling me we're doing the right thing. We're going in the right direction. When I see comments like that, it means that we're going against the grain and just thinking outside the box. So I'm like, please bring those comments on. I like those.
Oh, I'm only mean comments from now on.
Yeah.
What? Comments on this episode.
You, but from like
from me. Okay, fine. Yeah. It already counts if the person doesn't have a profile picture.
Correct. Yep. It's usually like, a dog. Those are like the shit talkers. They have a picture of their dog, so the dog
takes all the heat.
Yeah.
Cowards.
Yeah. Do you ever respond to those comments or no?
I think it's so dependent on what mood I'm in, to be honest. Like, sometimes I'll just hide it and like delete it. But other times, like, I'm like, oh, I want to have an educational conversation with this person, and I'll be the most respectful person on the planet, and I'll respond. And then usually they never respond back, or I get like a DM from them and they want to like take it to the DMs, which is whatever. That's fine. But yeah, I think it sort of depends
on what happens in the DMs.
Sometimes they'll be like, why'd you take that so personal? And it wasn't even like, I had like a very respectful comment. It wasn't taking it personal. I'm just like, hey, I totally understand where you're coming from, but kids nowadays, like, we're trying to get them off of screens and be more productive. And what they relate to is video games. So that's why with our belts, we model them off video game skins. And we've seen a huge amount of excitement from kids when they come in and they see that the belts are so drastically different, and it motivates them to better themselves and to have new benchmarks to becoming the best version of themselves. And I'll like respond with something like that. And then just because I responded, they're like, why'd you take that so personal? Or like, or like, why'd you have to like go like public with your response? They're like, you commented publicly, dude. I was responding, man. That's it. And once in a while they'll like apologize. They'll like message me and like say sorry or something. That's rare though.
Got him.
Yeah.
I feel the comment I see now, the meme comment and everything is nice try, Diddy. It's actually kind of funny, but it's a little played out.
Yeah.
Have you got that one?
I haven't got that one yet. I got one of my favorite troll comments was, it was on a clip from one of my podcast episodes, and I think it was with me and Jody, and we were just talking about how frustrated I are with people that teach martial arts that wouldn't work for self-defense, but they frame it as it would like save your life type of thing. And we're like you just know, like looking at it, like one steps, two steps, three steps. Like, I don't know if you ever did those like at any point in your training. My dad used to teach those. No one's gonna be like low block, front punch, and then you like inside block, front punch back. Like it's just not applicable. And some guy was like, he commented, he's like, hey, you never know, in the 1800s that could have saved a woman's life. And I'm just like, we're not in the 1800s. What does it have to do with anything right now in terms of self-defense? Like, it's not going to do anything. And it's just like, and that one was funny because I responded and just sort of said that in a nicer way. And then I felt bad for the guy afterwards because like so many martial arts schoolers jumped on there and they just like destroyed this guy. But I'm just like, what do you expect? Like your rebuttal is it would have worked in the 1800s.
Do you ever get tasteful troll comments that are like, "Ooh, that was a good burn"?
From like if I respond or what?
No,
like where they actually have a funny thing they say.
Yeah, they look at me and I'm like, "Oh, that was actually fun." Like that was right. Like
we got an email not too long ago that was like a one-line email that I saw and I was like, all right, that was pretty funny. Like it was good.
What did it say? You not got me? Was it too vulgar?
So it's for the agency, and it was something to do with like obviously all the crap that happened this year. I don't know how much you paid attention to with like what we went through, but it was a comment because my my previous business partner got busted because he had like a gram of mushrooms or something at his house, and he got arrested for it. And they just sent something that was like, is this the dude that does mushrooms or something like that? Like in the email. And I just read it, I started laughing. And it was, oh, that's what it was. It wasn't an email, it was a lead. In the lead box, they put like, dude does mushrooms or something like that. And like, and it came in because we get a Slack message like every time a new lead comes in, so we know to follow up with it. And it came in, and I just commented to our team. I was like, I don't think this one's real, guys. But I was laughing when I saw it. That was pretty good.
Yeah, I got one that said, this guy sounds like Squidward and SpongeBob had a baby. And I'm like, oh, that's pretty accurate. That's good.
I'll probably get more because I'm bald now.
What'd you say?
There'll be more because I'm bald now. Yeah.
Oh, you're gonna want it. You're gonna get some bald comments. I mean, I also get some just like stupid ones like, I would never let this Pee Wee Herman pervert near my kids. I'm like, oh my God, dude. Like, Jesus. Whoa.
I usually get like most of like when we did ads for a while that were it was like the 7 sins of martial arts marketing and the 10 commandments of martial arts marketing. So we had a different video for each one, and those ones got a lot of like people would just listen and be like, this guy is teaching you how to build a McDojo. It's like, yes, because I'm talking about business and martial arts. Like it's an assumption that you must have a McDojo or want to build a McDojo. So I think that's like probably the most common one that we see is like, I would bet too most of them are from people struggling with their own martial arts school. Is usually who they come from.
You mean Dave Kovar's not commenting there? McDojo.
If he did, that would be funny if he did that, because he's the nicest guy on the planet. If I saw a troll thing from him, I would probably be like, dude, I think someone hacked your account.
Like, show everyone, look at Dave Kovar. Oh my God, this is crazy. Like, you'd love it.
I think on April Fools, like on April 1st, Kovar should go around and start trolling everyone and leaving troll comments. That'd be the greatest April Fools prank ever.
That would be really like if he wasn't like the perfect martial arts like patriarch.
Yes.
Yeah, basically does anything. Yeah, that'd be really funny. His videos are really picked up online too. He's doing a good job.
Yeah, he's doing a lot more content. One of his videos I saw, I don't know if it was a reaction. I don't remember which one it was, but it had like a ton of comments on it. It was on TikTok. I saw it, but yeah, he's putting out way more content, which is awesome because I think he's like a wealth of knowledge, and I've said it before, but he's like the reason I wanted to be a martial arts instructor as a kid. Is when he came to our school to teach a seminar, I was like, oh, this can be fun. This can be cool.
Yeah, he's the man. Who else in the martial arts industry, I guess, do you like, besides people you work with directly, like who else do you think is like the the top operators.
Ooh, top operators. I think you said people I don't work with directly.
Yeah, like you don't say like Johnny, right? Like,
well, no. Okay. So like clients though, there's some clients.
They could be a client. Yeah, that's fine.
Like Alan and Naomi DePena. You know who they are?
I love DePena. They're the sweetest people.
Yeah, they're first of all nicest people on the planet. They're doing a lot of great things. I think Peter Trickless is doing some great stuff. I haven't talked to him in a while, but even when I saw my summit a couple years ago, he was doing some amazing things. Who else? Chris Bro on the East Coast has a really good school. I heard he has great student quality as well. You know who actually really impressed me? Ernie Reyes Senior. I was with him for like a weekend not too long ago, and his daughter is running one of his locations. She is a rock star. She's gonna be like, she'll do whatever she wants in this industry. She's so disciplined. There's their Little Dragons graduation I was watching, and no joke, I'm watching these kids and they're like side kick, boom, and there's like holding the leg out there and then pull it back, and then a ground kick, boom, and like the technique was great. And then also on the business side, they're doing really good on the business side as well. And that was really impressive because I've always known they've had like good martial artists coming out of their school since like the beginning of time, but to see that they're still doing it at a high level with their martial arts was really cool to see. Vince Little, who's with Amerikick, that dude's blowing up his school really, really fast. He's been doing great. Your brother, obviously. You guys are crushing it. I love Solomon's business model too. I think it was such a smart way to go with how he built that out. Man, there's a lot of good ones right now.
Have you seen this guy, Sebastian Bates? I had him on my podcast. He's not in the States, but
no. Oh, you know what? Lee Savage also. Oh, he's not in the States, but yeah, Lee's doing some good stuff.
Yeah, Lee, like franchise selling machine.
Yeah, I know. He's growing like crazy right now.
Yeah, Lee, he was one of my first clients. He was like maybe client number 10 or something.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I wasn't focused fully on organic then. I was like overall strategy, and I gave like spreadsheets to manage a team that we used and stuff like that. And then when I was I had nothing to do with his mobile franchise success. Like he wanted to grow, and he's like, all right, what are some of the systems like you guys use that you can help me? So I worked with him for a while. He was fantastic to work with, like a great implementer and awesome.
He's a really good dude.
Yeah. So Sebastian Bates, I had on my podcast, really interesting. He's got 6,000 students.
Wow.
4,000 of them are on free or subsidized tuition.
Interesting.
Yeah. So he gets like donations basically. And he opens up schools in like Dubai and like underserved. That's like his nicest locations is in like Doha or something. Is that the same place as Doha in Dubai? I don't know.
No clue. Asking the wrong guy.
GBT, let me know. No one fact check me. I know what I'm saying. So yeah. So anyway, he's got a bunch of different locations, like national. And I really, truly, it's like kind of people that literally just afford martial arts. So really, really cool. It's a cool situation, and I don't know anyone else that does that. Like, so focus on literally just like and when Alan, I think it was Alan. He's doing a nonprofit martial arts too, right?
Yeah, in I think District of Columbia.
Yeah, so he asked me. He's like, "Hey, do you have any advice for doing nonprofits?" And I'm like, "We have a nonprofit, so we have ours. But like, what you want to do, I would talk to this guy because this guy does like me, and I connect him. So I don't know if they had a conversation or not. But do you guys have a nonprofit connected with Move? Have you guys done that?
No, not yet. It's in our 3-year plan.
Okay.
Yeah, and one of our goals too is with even like the mastermind and consulting side, we want to create a nonprofit that actually benefits like the clients that we work with, where it sponsors kids at their school for martial art lessons that can't afford our kids in their community that can't afford it. So what we'd like to do is it may just start out locally with Move, but we want to build out a national program that just helps kids no matter where they are in the country be able to afford martial art lessons. And then we'd have a list of schools that they work with because obviously we want to send them to a martial arts school that is going to have a positive impact on them and take to the next level. But I'm like, I think that's a way that we can just expose more people to martial arts, and also at the same time, just it's like almost free memberships or free students for schools.
Yeah, you definitely have to be a more developed, sophisticated school to do this. But if you've been around for a while, your school's already great for a long time, it's been sustainable, might be something you might want to. I'm not saying, saying for someone listening, right?
Sure.
What I look into is getting a nonprofit. It's a lot of heavy paperwork. But honestly, every time we do something, there's a fundraiser, we donate to like just whatever nonprofit was in the area, which is not bad, but sometimes we do like Susan G. Komen or like just random, and not that that's a great nonprofit, helps people, but like
Sure.
why don't we helping more people do the thing that we want to help them with, right? So ours is like we teamed up with this company called Merchant Advocate. I hope I didn't mess up the name. And basically what they did for us, they evaluated across all of our schools, they evaluated our credit card fees. And what they did was, it was like the most amazing service ever, whereas like they evaluated our credit card fees. And then, because I never looked at my fees ever, like it was just like a piece of paper with a bazillion numbers on it, like 0.00 this, I was like, I throw it away. And what they did is they actually understand it and they negotiate on your behalf. You don't have to change software. You don't have to change processor, which I was like, I'm not changing anything, dude. This guy was, he cold messaged me and his 2 kids were black belts in the same state. So I was like, oh, listen, I guess what he has to say. But I was very hesitant in the beginning. And then
Sure.
so he went across our schools, looked at all the paperwork. And then he just calls the company on your behalf and just like, hey, we want better rates. And he knows what he's saying. And then whatever he saves you is like 50% off or something like that. And then because he did it across all of our schools, he saved us like 46 grand in credit card fees throughout the year, just in credit card processing. And we didn't have to change a thing. Awesome. We didn't change processor. Yeah. And then after that, I was like, I sent it over to Kifer. I'm like, hey, you should use this guy. I didn't want to use it. I didn't want to refer him to anyone until I knew that like it actually worked. Sure. It felt like it was going to be scammy, but then he did it and worked great. And then I referred this to like a million people. Because such a good service, but because they were making so much money, or not making so much money, but they get half the amount of money that you save. It's kind of like their money. Yeah. Which is good for me because it's way more money than I was saving before anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
He took that a portion of that money and then, okay, do you guys have a place we could donate it? And we're like, no. He's like, okay, well maybe we'll find somewhere else we could. No. And then that helped us like push us to make a nonprofit for our students. And then now we have a nonprofit. Now, anytime we do any fundraiser, kick-a-thon, donation, anytime anything goes to the fundraiser, and then the nonprofit called the Action Scholarship Fund. And it's not just for our students, but it's also martial arts schools who use that credit card saving service Merchant Advocate. So it's not our people, but obviously we fund it a lot now because all of our stuff goes to that. So anytime someone's going with classes, they have to now as a nonprofit, you can't just like it's a lot of paperwork and it has to be run like there's like a board and they have like meetings and it's not that often. I think like maybe like once a month they get on a Zoom call. It's like 3 or 4 people, but they have you really need someone who like knows what they're doing, right? We had someone who like had nonprofit experience and knew how to run it because then we had people apply, they had to apply for a scholarship. Otherwise, everyone's going to get a scholarship, right? They have to show financial need. They have to show a job loss. They have to show a bunch of paperwork. And then like they will give them like, I think it's like actually 3 and 6 months of tuition for the nonprofit and they can reapply again. So they get it forever to reapply
That's cool.
to show, right? Yeah. That way they lost a job and the kid doesn't have to stop training and the instructor doesn't have to stop getting paid. But also like if they get a job again, then it stops. It's not like, oh, I have to keep on getting.
Yeah. Goes to help someone else that needs it.
Yeah. So if you're a more mature school and you've been around for a while and you have the extra time, because it's going to take a lot of time to look to make it a nonprofit. Don't ask me all the details about it because it's a while ago and I mostly pushed it off to other people. I was on the board for a while, but if you ask me like, I don't know, document or lawyer questions, my eyes are going to glaze over and I'm going to tell you use ChatGPT.
Awesome. Yeah, I love that tip. I've heard about how much work goes into starting a 501c3. and all the paperwork with it. So it's cool that you guys have that going already. And then what was the credit card company you said again?
It's called, it's not a credit card company, but it's called Merchant. Yeah, Negotiator. It's called Merchant Advocate. I'm pretty sure it's it. Okay. Yeah, I'll send you the link if you want to put it in the notes. I can put the guys like, his kids are, one of them runs a school somewhere in New Jersey, like helps teach there. So that he's like super good person and made the process super easy. It was like, hey, send me your credit card documents. So I'm like, okay, I forwarded them. And then he's like, okay, fill this out so we can talk on behalf, fill that out. And that was it. There's no other work. Like I didn't want to have to do, if you're a school owner, you have to like change processors. Hell no, too work, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So, and by the way, it doesn't work with everyone. So I think 30 to 40% or something, but yeah, I said no. And it doesn't cost you anything. It only costs you money if it works and they split the savings with you. So it's like a no brainer, at least for us. And so I'll send it to anyone. Any of my clients, I'll like talk to this guy. And sometimes, we couldn't do anything about it. And like, okay, thanks for trying.
Yeah, makes sense. No, I love that though. That's great. I'm glad you brought that up. I think if any school owners can use it to save money, like sure they're going to appreciate the heck out of that. Just to wrap it up real quick, Matthew, curious because I always love learning who other people are learning from. Who are some people you're following, whether podcasts, books, whatever, that you feel like are contributing to your own personal development?
I think I use different people for different things. Like just like a lot of other people, I'm a really big fan of Hormozy. But then again, like Hormozy doesn't have kids. He wants to be a hard worker, just puts his head down and just get rich. Don't care about anything else. I like doing other shit, right? I like weightlifting. He likes weightlifting too, but like I like scuba diving and I like hiking and I like other things. That's a big part of my life. So I go to him for sales training. I like Jeremy Miner. I'm like really to his sales training, like really good question answering, objection answering. And it's some stuff I know, but his tonality of how he handles objections, he's really, really good. Let me think who else I really love. Honestly, for my like personal health, like Huberman has been extremely influential. Like he's the reason, well, he's not the only reason, but a big reason I started a year of sobriety of like, I'm not going to drink or have any, like no pot, nothing for a year. I'm about 7 days away now, full year. But after I listened to one podcast I listened to one about alcohol, and the one about weed. And I was like, I didn't even really like those were problems for me. Like there wasn't like, it wasn't like, oh, I'm drinking a lot. Like I probably had 6 to 8 drinks a week. Not a week, a month. Right. And so not often, but like he talked about how even a casual drinker here bodies and like the scientific, and I was like, wow, I'm just gonna try it for a year. So we'll see what happens. So now I'm almost at a full year, and I wouldn't say every part of my life has changed dramatically. Like that'd be, I think, that'd be dramatic to say that, but there's definitely things that it's easier to make a lot of better decisions. Put it that way.
Yeah.
And I'll post about it later, my real thoughts on it. Because I think some people expect like, oh, you took off for a year, your life is like a bazillion times better. I mean, it's better in some ways for sure, but there's also some ways where it's not as good. And I'll be honest with that. Like, there's things you miss, which kind of suck.
So are you just throwing like the ultimate rager on day 366 then?
Oh my, I'm going hard. I'm drug dialing. I'm troll posting everything on the internet. I'm going hard on your Instagram comment.
I think you should live stream yourself for 24 hours while you do it.
So yeah, full send bender. I don't know. Ask me what I'm going to do that day. Like it's actually on Thanksgiving, which is
okay, perfect.
Yeah, you would think it's perfect, but then like I'm going to be with my family and family are not really drinkers in general. So it's not like a place where I'm going to like really have fun doing that sort of thing. So I have a friend's wedding coming up in a couple of weeks. So I think that would be a good opportunity. Nice. I think that's a time where it's like, it could be fun. So
yeah, I think you should like just down a 6-pack and then start bringing up politics on Thanksgiving. just celebrate that way.
Yeah, just start yelling like stop the steal or something.
Yep. Yeah, perfect. Walk in there like MAGA hat and then change it halfway through. It'll be great.
Martial arts people love it.
Yeah, it'll be awesome. Well, Matthew, man, thank you for taking the time to come on the podcast and just share your knowledge with everyone. If people want to follow you, if they want to get a hold of you, what is the best way to do that?
Best way to find me is on Instagram at blackbeltbrenner1. Send me a message on there. If you want the guys' info for their credit card stuff, if you send me a message, I'll send you his cell phone number. You can text the guy. Or you can find, if you want to grow your martial arts school organically without the ads, you go to my website, wyourdojo.com. Also for that AI thing that I'm creating, if you send me an email, you'll be one of the beta testers. I didn't think about that, honestly, of having beta testers. So you said, I'm like, that's a good idea. So I'll beta test it with you. Send me an email, say, hey, can you run a organic growth report for me? And then I'll ask you for a couple questions, and then I'll send it back to you, all for free, and see if you like it.
Love that. All right, awesome, man. Well, thank you so much. And I know we'll connect soon. I know you're going to be working with our mastermind guys for a couple hours in their near future. So I don't think we even announced that to them yet, but I know they'll be excited when we do. So I appreciate that, and continued success for you as you continue to just climb mountains and move forward, man.
Yeah, let's all give a big round of applause for his beautiful haircut. We all like it. Big fans.
Oh, this is the first podcast I've done with no hair.
Oh my God, I feel very special.
Monumental.
I'm shaving my head right after this.
Sweet. There'll be our new thing at the end of each podcast episode. We'll have the guests shave their head.
Shave their head. Oh my God.
I'll wait right here while you go get the clippers.
All right, thanks so much, Adam. It's been a blast.
We're unstoppable. To the top, we about to go. That CEO, I need to know the impact we about to grow. Competition, comical. Straight A1, we on the road. Money focus for the goal. Tell them what they need to know. We unstoppable.